Well, good tidings to you all. It may be a nice day outside in Calgary, but it was sure frosty inside the Saddledome on this Saturday afternoon as the Calgary Flames, led by center Morgan Frost, defeated the San Jose Sharks by a 3-2 final score. Welcome to the Afterburner here on the Flames Nation Barn Burner YouTube channel and the Nation Network. My name is Mike Gould alongside Bobby Germany himself, Robert Munnich, for the Afterburner. Presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it is never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use that code NATION. And while you're at it, while you're tapping away, putting in your parlays and what have you, well, take some of those dollars as well and put them into the Super Chats. Proceeds from the Afterburner Super Chat go to the Youth Centers of Calgary. Youth Centers of Calgary, a place where kids are welcomed and accepted as they are, a place where they can get a break for the chronic stress. This is the reality of many of their lives and where they can flourish through connections and fun. And the Flames, well, it feels a little disingenuous, Bobby, to say that they got breaks tonight because they only scored 3 goals. They didn't score on the empty net. They took over 40 shots. Tonight, it just feels like they got themselves a well-deserved win on home ice.
Yeah, I think so too. I actually thought that was probably one of their better performances in a long time. They badly outshot the Sharks. I thought possession-wise and territorial-wise, the Flames were really good tonight. And, you know, they didn't really have any passengers. There might have been 1 or 2 guys where you could say that they had a bit of an off night. But overall, it was just a very solid team effort from the Flames tonight.
Good to see some familiar faces in the comments. There's a Jas Hugh, aka Hugh Jas, in the comments asking, did these two just finish their World of Warcraft game in Mom's basement? I'll have you know that I'm more of a Valorant fan myself. But no, I think we're just we're sitting maybe in basements or where have you. But we watched a hockey game this afternoon.
I'm in the second studio here in Marteloup, and I think it needs an upgrade, to say the least.
A little bit of a hostage video-esque aesthetic over there, Bobby, but we'll give you the pass this time. No, we just finished watching a pretty good hockey game at the Saddledome, one of the better games the Flames have played this season. They're pretty good at home, generally speaking. It's really away from home where things fall apart for them. They have 2 more home games left before the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan. And the Flames, to their credit, they battled back a couple of times tonight. They trailed 1-0. They trailed 2-1. And they ended up out shooting the Sharks 42-25. Dustin Wolf stopping 23 for the victory. And a game we were sort of talking off mic, Bobby, in which pretty much everybody on the Flames team had a little bit of a hand in it. There were only a couple of Flames players who did not have shots on goal tonight. Only 3 Flames players did not have a shot on goal tonight. Can you guess who they are, Bobby?
Let's go Pahal, Hanley, and Zary.
Incorrect on all 3 fronts.
Damn.
Kevin Ball with 0, Marty Pospisil with 0, and Jonathan Huberdeau with 0 shots for the Calgary Flames tonight. But, I mean, their shooters were shooting. Morgan Frost was the best Flames player in this game. I think there's no question about it. He was named the first star, if memory serves, by our buddy Pat Steinberg, which I think is very well deserved. And I say this a lot about the Calgary Flames. They have very good players. The difference between good players and great players really, to me, boils down not as much to skill as it does consistency. And the players who are truly skilled in this league, Morgan Frost can make players that rival or make plays that rival the plays that some of those players make. It's just a matter of doing it on a consistent basis. And if he, plays like he does tonight, or today rather, he's a bona fide NHL top 6 forward. It's just about the quantity, the frequency of which we see him putting forth efforts like this.
Yeah, 100%. Like I would argue that Morgan Frost is probably like the most skilled forward on the Calgary Flames if you just look at pure talent level, hands, playmaking, all that kind of stuff. But like you said, it's consistency that plagues this guy. And man, if Morgan Frost could have more nights like this, he would actually be a very valuable player for this Calgary Flames team moving forward. But tonight was a bit of an anomaly. I mean, throughout his entire tenure, I would say it's been a little below average, a little underwhelming. But, if he can string together more nights like this, and, like tonight, he showed some great chemistry with Matvei Gridin. Maybe those two can start to pile up the points a little bit. Frost could be a pretty decent trade chip next year, or it could be a piece of this Calgary Flames future moving forward.
On the television broadcast, they did dive into Morgan Frost a little bit during the second intermission, and there's lots of chat about the Calgary Flames right now. The interesting thing with Morgan Frost is that his contract status is in fact a little bit more imminent than Nazem Kadri's is. He's an unrestricted free agent to the end of next season, a very young UFA. He'll be 27, going on 28 when that contract expires. To me, the most natural comp for Morgan Frost has always been Sam Gagne. That's always been the number one name at the top of my mind. And he's on pace for about 41 points this season. I do think that Morgan Frost on a more skilled, more complete team where he's insulated a little bit and also given a little bit more support and reign to play on the rush would be a formidable player. And it just remains to be seen if that opportunity ever presents itself. I mean, I look at the Florida Panthers teams that just won the last 2 Stanley Cups, and if you put Morgan Frost on that team, I think you might find he plays a very similar role to, I don't even know. I mean, no, I don't want to go as far as to say he'd be similar to a Carter Verhaeghe type player on that team, but I think there are different roles that type of player can play. And so I think the Flames do have a very interesting choice as it moves forward here. We saw the goal that he scored. He ended up helping set up Matvei Gridin as well for his second goal of the season in that second period. And we'll get into the blow-by-blow here momentarily. But yeah, I mean, a lot of folks do forget the Flames did invest a second-round pick in that trade that they made with the Philadelphia Flyers last year. And as it stands right now, both the players they received in that deal scored today. I do feel like the Flames, if they were to go down a certain pathway, could recoup the investment they made in that deal and then some with the 2 players they acquired.
I think so too. One thing I'm actually really looking forward to watching here is, like, I'm assuming Nazem Kadri is probably going to get dealt. It feels like there's a pretty high percentage chance he's going to get dealt. And Backlund and Kadri have been ahead of Frost all year long. And when Nazem Kadri gets traded, or if he gets traded, Morgan Frost is going to step up and he's going to be a legit top 6 center for the Calgary Flames. And he's probably going to get some more power play time, more time at 3-on-3. Like, he's going to be put out in way more situations. And I'm going to be pretty interested to see how he can cope with it, because once again, if he can play like he did tonight, that's going to be a big win for the Flames, whether they trade him or whether they keep him long-term. And, tonight he was dominant. He drew 2 penalties, 1 goal, 1 primary assist, 14-3 in the face-off dot. And, he had some swagger to his game. He was dangling guys. He was picking pucks off. He was a bit of a turnover machine in terms of picking pucks off. He was moving his feet. And one thing, I was doing some research yesterday looking at NHL Edge stats, and I was looking at Calgary Flames forwards with 20 plus mile per hour speed burst. Morgan Frost leads Flames forwards in that stat. Like,
wow.
And tonight he was skating really well. I mean, he's got 85 20 plus mile per hour speed bursts this year. So yeah, I thought he was fantastic, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he's going to play moving forward here if he ends up getting more opportunity if Kadri's gone.
He's been good. Some folks in the chat asking, where are the In the Dome boys? It's a Saturday. What's going on here today? I don't know. I don't make these decisions. I just get the call and they say, Mike, we're doing this show, you see, and it's a post-game show called The Afterburner, and we'd like you to be on it. And I say, okay, that's cool. And we're going to do it with Robert, and that's great. I'm happy with that. Don't ask me, folks. I don't know if there's some sort of timing issue, because as far as I'm aware, somebody in the chat pointed it out. Don't they usually do Saturday nights? You're right. They usually do Saturday nights, and this is an afternoon game, folks. So my apologies. We'll try to do our best. I don't know as many swear words as they do.
I was gonna say we got to start dropping a bunch of 4-letter words here to keep up with those boys.
There's some that they got in their little Rolodex that I've never heard before. So I got to be a little careful here. I don't want to get into any trouble. I don't want to step on their turf. So we'll try to make this a nice and lively show. And by the way, it's not always Jack producing. You don't have to be presumptuous. We got lots of great producers here. Jack, what's going on? Jack can't hear you. Jack is out in the Caymans somewhere. He's out, talking to ladies and what have you, and he's left us here. But we've got actually an arguably better producer on with us today. That's Yasmin. So don't tell Jack that I said that. So it's a good show. It's going to be a good show. And Bobby, where did we start off in today's game?
Well, you tell me. I mean, we could probably start with the 1-0 San Jose goal.
Yeah, Will Smith, number 16 on the year for Willie Smith. Max Celebrini, 0 points to that one home, and it's a 1-0 Sharks game at the 3:11 mark of the first. Very, very early on.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a breakdown here on the penalty kill. Zach Whitecloud gets completely out of position, and then Kevin Ball's not able to get a stick on that pass going over to Will Smith, and just a really nice passing play by the Sharks. And Alex Wenberg, he's going to the Olympics for Team Sweden. He just signed a contract that's paying him $6 million a year. Like this guy is he's having quite the last month and a half here. Oh my God.
Hefty chunk of change for Alexander Wenberg. I had a chat with my buddy down in San Jose who works for the team after that deal came down, and I said, "Really?" And he was like, "No, he's been very good." And I was like, "Okay." And he's playing big minutes for the Sharks, so good for him. The Flames did tie it up. We already saw the goal earlier, but later on in the first period, it was Morgan Frost finishing off a play. This puck went in and out so quickly, I didn't even know it.
You're going to end up losing this game. So it was actually a massive goal for the Flames, and it was nice to see him kind of whipping the puck around a little bit and showing off a little bit of skill and playmaking, because we haven't seen a ton of that this season.
Flames went 1 for 6 on the power play in today's game. They had a lot of chances. There were a ton of penalties called in this game. Sharks, for their credit, went 1 for 4. We already saw their power play goal, courtesy of Will Smith. And in period number 2, another early goal, just 81 seconds into the second period. And Adam Gaudette has more goals than anybody.
Yeah, just a bit of a shit show here. I mean, the Flames, they did a good job blocking some shots. I believe they blocked 2 or 3 shots on this play, but they just could not get the puck out from in front of the net there, and Gaudette finishes it. And I would argue Adam Gaudette is one of the most under-the-radar, sneaky, good goal scorers in the NHL. It's just everywhere he goes, he scores. I think he put up 20 in Ottawa last year. He scored at a pretty decent rate for the Canucks early in his career. And now with the Sharks, like you said, he's outscoring basically every single Calgary Flame. So good on Gaudette. He's actually a pretty half decent goal scorer in this league.
Yeah, Gaudette is 29, and obviously he had that initial little run with Vancouver coming off of a very good stint at Northeastern University. Ends up getting off of that team shortly after the pandemic begins. Goes to Chicago. It was traded for Matthew Highmore. Then is waived by Chicago, goes to Ottawa, then leaves Ottawa, goes to Toronto, never plays a game for them, ends up in St. Louis, plays in their minor league system for a couple of seasons, plays 2 NHL games with St. Louis, goes back to Ottawa, scores 19 goals, and is now 29 and on a 2-year deal with the Sharks, I believe, paying him $2 million a year. Not a bad little run for Adam Gaudette, for certain. It has become a relatively plum assignment for him in San Jose. Now, this was kind of funny because shortly thereafter, the Flames did tie this game up, and it just so happened to be the day after in his media availability, Matvei Gridin says he wanted to score a real goal in the National Hockey League because, as we all remember, when almost every notable Russian winger who comes over prefers to play on their offside, and Matvei Gridin is no exception. And that is a tremendous shot for his second goal in the season and in his career.
Yeah, Yasmin, if you could pull the video back up and just show the very first play that Matvei Gridin makes along the wall. These are the types of plays that I think make Matvei Gridin a very special hockey player and just shows off his smarts and his skill. Gridin's game and the small little area plays that he makes, the skill he shows. He's shown that I think he could be probably around a 50 to 70 point player in this league and a legit top 6 forward for the Flames for a long time. I'm very high on his future.
Yeah, he's great. It has been a really nice progression for Matvei, a player who has surprised folks at sort of every step since he was drafted. I remember doing the live show with Boomer and Pinder when they drafted him. And it wasn't really the guy who we were expecting at 28 per se with the Vancouver pick, but there were some folks who were a little surprised. I mean, there is one prominent hockey publication. I will not say which.
Who is it? Say it.
I will not say which. That had Matvei Gridin as a borderline 4th round pick heading into that year's draft. A very prominent hockey publication. And then he surprises us again a little bit because he had been playing in the USHL with the Lumberjacks and ends up not going to the University of Michigan. We all sort of had the idea that this guy was going to go to college. The grades weren't quite there. So he goes to the QMJHL instead. And he goes and he sort of has a bit of a slower start. And by the end of the year, he's the best rookie in the Q. Not even a question.
Wins the Rookie of the Year.
Exactly. He has 17 points in 16 playoff games. And then the next year, okay, Matvei Gridin is now 19 years of age. And even though same age as Zane Parekh, because he was drafted out of the USHL, he has the luxury of being able to start in the AHL from day one, which surprised some people. And again, not only is he in the AHL from day one, he is immediately the Wranglers' arguably best offensive player as a 19-year-old in that league, which is extremely difficult to do. Not that long ago that we were seeing Connor Zary at a very similar age having his season be derailed by injury and not even scoring at half a point a game in that league as a first-year pro. So that's all very impressive. And now he's in the National Hockey League. I mean, the last time the Flames had a winger they drafted out of the QMJHL who was a first-round pick and came to this level, we were talking about Jacob Pelche, who's a much smaller player, and he went into the AHL 2 years after he was drafted. And now here we are with Matvei Gridin 1 year after he's drafted. And yet he's still an 06 birthday. So he's not even like it's old. It's not even like he's old for the class. So that's really, really exciting for Matvei Gridin. You're right, Matsy. He did start in the NHL this year, but still, he was in the A basically from the start, and immediately the best player on that level for the Flames, no question.
What do you think his ceiling is with this Flames team?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, the Flames, in order to build a real winner, are going to need to have basically 3 lines deep of quality forward prospects with the expectation that you'll get 1 line's worth of top line players. That's the way that I see it. You go into, you want to have sort of 7 to 9 legit forward prospects. So you say that guy could maybe be part of our top line moving forward. That's exactly what we're seeing in San Jose right now. You look at it in San Jose, and they obviously have the centerpiece type guys like the Celebrinis and the Will Smiths and the William Eklunds. And then they have the Igor Chernyshovs and the Michael Misas. And then you have some other, lesser guys as well in there. And, going through all their different picks, you have like guys like Cam Lund and Philip Bystedt and guys who have a little bit less of a top end projection, but maybe are their second line type. And to me, I see Gridin sort of between those two levels. I see Gridin as a guy where you like the way that he slots a lot better if you have a Gavin McKenna or an Ivar Stenberg.
Yeah.
And so if the Flames do get that guy in this year's draft, then all of a sudden I look at the way that the depth chart is structured and say, okay, you have Gridin or Coronado. Pick one for the top line moving forward the next 10 years and pick the other one to play on the second line, right? I have McKenna and maybe Ethan Wittenbach or something like that. We'll get to that in a little bit. And you pick one of those two. And you have Cole Reshny, Cullen Potter, and hopefully maybe down the line you can draft another center. So it's not really an answer. I just think that there are a lot of different ways that you can move these guys around. And I think that to me, Gridin feels like a guy who can maybe play up and down a top 9.
The thing I like about Gridin's game compared to a guy like Coronado is that Gridin has the ability to make plays and rip pucks, whereas Coronado's more of like a pure shooter. He's not necessarily like a great playmaker. But from what I'm seeing with the plays that Matvei Gridin is making early in his NHL career, I am just so impressed with this guy. He feels like he could be like a 30-30 kind of player, or 25 goals, 40 assists type of guy. I'm with you. I think he's going to be a top 2 line player, whether you want to put him on your first or your second line, but I could see him kind of hovering around that 60-point mark, year in, year out. I just think the talent is off the charts with this guy. I think the Flames got a very good one at pick 28.
He's very smooth. That's
very
the thing.
Smooth.
I sometimes find Coronado to be a little choppy.
Yeah.
And I find Gridin to be extremely composed. And so that to me is very, very promising. To me, it makes him very projectable. I just look around the league. I mean, it's such a stupid comp in my sense, but the way that he passes the puck, I sometimes see a little bit of Leon Draisaitl. Don't clip that. If you clip that and put that on social media, I will freak out because I'm not comparing those two players one bit. I just think that in the way that they assert themselves on the ice, I see a little bit of that same self-confidence.
Yeah.
Which to me is something that the Flames prospect base has sometimes lacked in the past. And so that to me is an indicator of a guy who can be a play driver. And that's what I hope Matvei Gridin can be at some point down the line for the Calgary Flames. And he certainly scored a nice goal today. And then the Flames in period number 3, they get the go-ahead goal. They take their first lead of the game, and it's courtesy of the other guy.
Score a goal there. And I've been thinking about this lately, with the trade deadline coming up here. Do you think there's any chance that they can move a guy like Farabee? I mean, my initial reaction is no, just based off the contract and the lack of production this season. But do you think there's any way they could move him out? Because it would be great to open up another spot on the wing for a young player in the top 9.
You know what, Bobby? I'm going to put forward a hypothesis here, and it's really has nothing to do with the player himself. I just think the player archetype of Joel Farabee will be more valuable to NHL GMs the older he gets. I think the more experienced that Joel Farabee becomes, I think a 28-year-old version of Joel Farabee, for no real reason, just for intangibles, for the fact that he's been around the block, he's a veteran at that point, will have more value as a middle 6 contender addition than a 25-year-old Joel Farabee who's just getting started in the league. Mm-hmm. And that really has nothing to do with where he's at as a player. Maybe he develops some skills over the coming years. But to me, I look at where like a guy like Anthony Mantha was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights a couple of years ago. And very similar type players got Washington back, I think a 2nd-round pick at that point.
Yeah.
And I could see that in a couple of years with Joel Farabee, just as, these types of guys, as they age, I think GMs love their experience. And so when we look at it, Farabee will turn 26 later, or I guess next month, February 25th. And the other aspect, the other reason that I don't necessarily think that it's going to happen right now is because they can't retain on him. You're not gonna use that retention slot on Joel Farabee, especially not for 3 more seasons. There's no real urge to, no real desire to. So maybe once we get to a certain point where the Markstrom and Anderson retentions are off the books, and maybe you've got a Coleman retention that's done and finished. You maybe get the team a little bit stronger to the point where not everybody is a 20-point guy at this point in the season. I think if you flip Farabee at $2.5 million, maybe in a couple of years, I think you're getting a solid return. I mean, you look at the investment in that deal. It is a 2nd-round pick. It's Jacob Pelche, who ends up not really being an asset at all because Philly just let him go for free. And it's Andrei Kuzmenko, who Philly flipped for a 3rd. So really, it's a 2nd and a 3rd, really, if you look at the opportunity cost. And I think there's a real opportunity for the Flames to get back at least a couple of seconds, if not a little bit more. Maybe 1 second for each player, and maybe something a little on top of that. And so that to me is something that I would wait on for sure. But it was a nice Golden Knight, and I think he is a solid player. I think there are so many solid players on this Flames team. I think it's just all about deployment. Yeah. I think it is all about having too many eggs in the same basket. What we are seeing this year, I mean, they have 2 guys who have 21 points, and they have 2 guys who have 20 points. And then, Frost has gone a little bit of a heater, so he's at 27, and Huberdeau's at 24. And like, what is what are we looking at as the disparity between all these players? Like, really, we are looking at so much samey, meat grinder compilation of players, and it's hard to really differentiate between any of them. The guys who the Flames might trade are the guys who have managed to differentiate themselves a little bit. You can look at Blake Coleman and say he has been a little bit of a step above the guys on the rest of the roster. And then you have just sort of the flotsam all packed into the middle.
Yeah, I mean, and Nazem Kadri was in that same category as Blake Coleman through the first, I'd say, 2 months of the season. Yeah. But ever since the calendar flipped to December, I mean, Kadri's really struggled here. But
no good.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just a bunch of guys who are kind of the same archetype. They're kind of the same player. And you know what? That's fine for probably the next 3 years. But you're definitely going to need to add some more higher end skill to this lineup if you want to take it to the next level. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, you kind of have a staggered approach right now with the Calgary Flames. I mean, Morgan Frost, his deal is up at the end of next year. Farabee and Zary are both up at the end of the year after that, as is Michael Backlund, which I know there's been a lot that's been said about Backlund wanting to spend his entire career as a Flame. I'm curious to see what happens in a couple of years even still. And then, the year after that, Kadri is up. The year after that, Igor is up. Like I think as we continue on, I forgot to mention Marty Pospisil is also up the same year as Kadri. I think as we continue to go forward here, we're going to be looking at them selling guys for a few more seasons where you're going to be retaining on maybe a guy a year. And it's going to sort of stagger over a period of time where maybe 1 year you retain on Pospisil, and the next year you retain on Weegar, and then you get to a certain point where maybe come the end of the decade you're really starting to accelerate upwards here. I think I said it on the Warmies, and I'm going to say it again here. I think what we are witnessing is a bit of a paradigm shift where we are getting past the halfway mark of the Nazem Kadri contract. And I think there are finally veterans who are shifting their mindset from I want to be part of the solution to I've had about enough of this.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like what we witnessed with the team the Flames played against today, where the Sharks, after they made the playoffs the last time in 2019, they had a couple of years there where I would call them sort of marginal sellers. And then they got to a period about 2022-ish where it started to be, okay, we're trading Brent Burns, and we're trading Erik Karlsson, and we're trading Tomas Hertl.
Yeah.
And Marc-Edouard Vlasic, sorry, you're getting bought out. And Logan Couture, you're done. And so I think that is finally what we're getting to here. And that is going to sort of create a mindset for the Flames where they can no longer truly come out and say, we think we'll be okay. We like Nazem Kadri. He's won a Stanley Cup. We think he can still be a number one center. We think Mackenzie Weegar. Those guys are no longer here. If they're no longer here, there's really no way out of this unless they want to move a certain way in the draft, and that is going to take time. And so I think that's going to give the Flames a window here to sell pretty much everybody on the roster who is of an age greater than like Connor Zary.
Yeah, 100%. And you can tell, like with Nazem Kadri specifically, over his last 15, 16 games here, to me, body language wise, just the way he's playing, you can tell that he's kind of frustrated and he's fed up. And I think a trade would probably do best for the player and the team at this point in time. You could say the same thing about Mackenzie Weegar right now with the way he's playing. You can tell he's so frustrated.
I think he's hurt.
He honestly, he has to be, because he is not moving well at all. Like there were a couple times today where he's just so flat footed. And when he tries to break and accelerate, it's just not happening for him.
It hurts to watch him.
100%. There was a play kind of close to the Sharks bench in the first period where a puck kind of got tied up in a skate and he went to turn to go on the back check. And his first 3 strides were just so slow. And you're just like, something's wrong with him right now. Like he has to be hurt. So
Bobby, coming into this season, we were unironically, legitimately talking about Mac Weegar as an Olympic guy.
Yeah.
And it was not mass hysteria. It was not a collective psychosis. We have seen this player play well, very well, to the point where he is at his best, legitimately one of Canada's best defensemen. And as of right now, he shouldn't even be a consideration because he's clearly not all there. For whatever reason. And it hurts me to watch because I really like Mackenzie Weegar. And my hope is that it's just something that he needs to rest up and get over because it's been ugly. And, there's no better time for a month-long break for a lot of these guys because it's a tough grind this year. Like it's an Olympic year. It is early February and we're already at like 55 games for some of these teams. We're typically there in March. And we typically have a lot of hockey left to go this time of year. And now we're like at the trade deadline, but it's so compressed that we can't be there for another month. So it's because of the break, you got a full 3-week break. So it is a really tough year. I am hoping that Mackenzie Weegar is okay for the long term because Reese Jones makes a very good point. Weegar has taken so many shots off his ankles and feet. And the thing that I've noticed a lot with Weegar is that not only has he taken those shots, but when he gets hit, it really seems to hurt. Like, it reminds me of what we were seeing with Joel Farabee earlier on in the season, where he'd get hit a lot, and a lot of guys get hit a lot, but with Farabee, it seemed to hurt a lot. And with Weegar right now, whenever he gets hit, it seems like he's down for like 5 seconds, and he's taken a second, which is not a lot of fun to watch, and I hope he's okay.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're a Flames fan and you're hoping Mackenzie Weegar can bounce back, you're hoping that maybe he can take a page out of the Rasmus Anderson book. And I know Rasmus is, 3 or 4 years younger than Mackenzie Weegar, but what we saw from Rasmus last year reminds me a lot of what we're seeing from Mackenzie Weegar this year. And Rasmus was able to turn his game around the following year. And man, you are hoping Mackenzie Weegar can do that. And I wonder from a mental standpoint too, the Flames get off to this terrible start. Mackenzie Weegar, like, he desperately wants to make the playoffs. He's seeing his friends in Florida raise Stanley Cups above their heads. And, the Flames, they can barely kind of sniff the playoffs, and they got off to a terrible start. He gets off to a terrible start. He's basically off the Olympic team in terms of consideration, halfway through November, maybe even earlier than that. So, like, between that and all the blocking of shots and the physical toll that his body's been taking this year, I wonder if all those things just compounding are leading just to a terrible year for the guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, these seasons can feel so short for some players, and they can feel so long for other players. And it just has to feel like a slog for a lot of these guys. And so hopefully we can get to the middle of April before too long. It'll take some time, but the short February is a very short month. I don't know. Bobby, here's a question. What do you think would be the best month to buy or sell real estate
in the city of Calgary? I'm gonna go probably June.
I'm going to say,
July,
if you're
summer?
shopping with the Derek Newman group, it's any month of the year. I mean, come on, Bobby. There's no correct answer, because if you're buying or selling a house, condo, townhouse, duplex, outhouse in Calgary, you can use the Derek Newman group. That's DERRICK. Over 100 million in real estate sold. That's what our liner says here. Over 100 million. Doesn't specify 100 million what. My assumption is dollars. Maybe it's 100 million houses. That would be something. My guess is it's 100 million bucks in real estate sold. Although if we're talking about Zimbabwean currency, that's like 20 cents worth of housing sold. So it could be anything. My assumption is 100 million Canadian dollars. With 65 plus 5-star Google reviews, 90% of business is done through referrals and repeat businesses. I've done sales in various different forms. Repeat and referral business is the sign that you're doing something real right. So clients, if you want to go with Derek, you're going to stay with Derek, and you should give him a call at 403-619-6661. Once again, that is DERRICK Newman. I might have
check out the new logo too. The new logo looks fantastic.
It is pretty sweet. It's they got a good one. Derek, I wonder, I mean, we have to find a relocation property for some of those Toronto Maple Leafs executives. Am I right? Am I right, fellas?
I could see that happening pretty soon.
It could always be worse, couldn't it?
The Toronto Maple Leaf fans, I think Flames fans warned Leaf fans about the Treliving experience, and they're getting the full experience right now. Like the Lawton and Carlo deals, like that kind of reminds me of the Travis Hamonic deals from back in the day, and Curtis Lazar. Like, man, it's a mess over there, and he's doing his thing. This is what Brad Treliving does. He loves ruining hockey teams.
Well, Bobby, there is not much that I do know in life, but there is one thing that I know for sure, and that is that I would rather be on this show than watching the first period of the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Vancouver Canucks.
Jesus.
A game that is currently tied at 0, Robert, with 4 shots apiece midway through the first period.
My role at the Nation Network, like in terms of social media, the 2 main teams I cover for hockey are the Flames and Canucks right now.
Oh, you're doing the Canucks Army
Canucks
gambit.
Army. Oh my god, dude!
Evil Mr. Quadrelli get you on that one?
Yes, he did. Yeah, dude, I've been doing it the last few years, and like it's been okay, but this year it's just been an absolute train wreck. Those guys are so bad. Like we think the Flames don't play very entertaining hockey. Just watch a Vancouver Canucks game; it'll put you to sleep. Here's
the thing. I've done the whole Canucks Army circuit as well. I love the folks out there. Quadrelli,
amazing job.
Quadrelli is one of my favorites, but they've got a number of great contributors. Here's the thing, though, is that since I have been around in this network, which has been since 2021, I suppose, since I really started doing multiple sites, they've had 4 coaches. They've had 4.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's been a bit of a carousel, but you know what? I will say it's never a dull moment. It makes for a lot of good, compelling subjects to touch upon. I will say.
Out of all the teams in the NHL, they're the biggest soap opera.
Oh my
Like
God.
like every single year, there's just something that pops up. Like whether it's the way they treated Bruce Boudreau,
Oh my God.
during the Boudreau bump, like that was hard to watch. And you got
Again,
Miller and Pedersen, like it's just a mess.
I probably wrote 40 articles on that Bruce Boudreau thing, like in real time while it
Yeah.
was happening. And that was crazy. Yeah, no good. No good,
I've
very
never
bad.
seen anything like that before. Like,
It
how do
was
you
so
treat
weird.
like such like a good person like that? Like that was awful.
It was very much a no good, very
Yeah.
bad thing they did. Bobby, with the win today, the Calgary Flames are, for the moment, I believe, no longer in 31st in the National Hockey League standings.
That's too bad.
They've moved up to 29th, although really only in sort of in writing for the time being, as it looks like they might get a little bit of help on the out-of-town scoreboard. We shall see, although it's still a little early on. Columbus and St. Louis playing today, and that's one of the teams below the Flames, as it were. The New York Rangers have lost 3 straight. They are down to 22, 28, and 6. The Flames are tied with them in points on the year with 50. The bottom standings, it is a strange place to be. Nobody, it seems, is catching the Vancouver Canucks, even if they do beat the Toronto Maple Leafs today.
Do you think the Flames can get down that low? Because if they trade Coleman, like we've already seen what this team looks like without Rasmus Anderson and Blake Coleman, it's ugly. You maybe trade a guy like Nazem Kadri on top of that, and maybe like a Joel Hanley or a White Cloud or whatever or whoever it may be. Do you think the Flames can get down and compete with the Canucks for 32nd, or are they just they're not that bad?
It's not impossible. I just think they've already sort of gotten their big losing streaks out of their system. Like, I mean, the Flames have a tough schedule, and we'll get to it in a second here, but they've got a tough schedule. I don't know. I mean, I think they play most of their remaining games at home. If you look at it, the Flames are 8, 17, and 2 on the road this season. That's 27 games already on the road. I guess they're actually even. They've played 27 games both on home and both on home ice and the road. Still,
they only have 3 road trips left the rest of the season, but they're all, I think, at least 3 games. So they're
exactly. Screw it, Robert. You want to get into it? We'll talk about the road ahead.
Why
not?
Get
into the road ahead, brought to you by the good folks at Platinum Mitsubishi. Family owned and operated by lifelong Calgarians. At Platinum, lease and finance rates start at 0%, including on the 2025 Outlander plug-in hybrid at PHEV. Get into the best back cars in the entire country with a standard 10-year powertrain warranty at Platinum Mitsubishi. That is at 2720 Barlow Trail, Northeast. Bobby, it's been a wonderful partnership with Afterburner and Platinum Mitsubishi, a partnership that has been extremely mutually beneficial, I would say, for the two sides. And I am shifting into a new role today as no longer involved as intimately with Platinum, I'm just now a brand ambassador for Platinum Mitsubishi.
You're an influencer.
Just a Platinum Mitsubishi influencer. You won't find me up at the store as often. I had a tendency to just hang out around there and just sort of say hi to people. And going forward, just a lowly brand ambassador, Mike Gould is. But there's still some great folks up there.
Let's hear about this new role.
Well, here's the thing, Bobby. Here's
a certain amount of social posts on social media per month. Are you making appearances?
I'll just ditch the pretense. Here's the thing. Is that when you do a show like this, when you have, hockey stuff going on, often you need a 9 to 5. Often you need a day job. And for 17 months, my day job was to help folks find the right vehicle up at Platinum Mitsubishi. And now as we move forward here, that's no longer my day job per se. They're just a company that I like. I'm not going to be up there helping people find their right vehicle, but I'm happy to send people up there, give them, the repeat and referral business as we said about it with Derek Newman. So, they're fantastic folks. There's a great sales team up there. They are top notch. And I am so excited to watch from afar. Visit them at the auto show in March. And continue seeing how they grow that business, because it is really a special place. And the Platinum Mitsubishi road ahead will take us to a number of special places, including back-to-back games at the Saddledome prior to the Olympic break. And they're both games against Canadian teams. We've played the last game for the Flames in January. We're moving on to the month of February now. It is the Toronto Maple Leafs, Brad Treliving's team, in Calgary on Monday at 8 p.m. Mountain. An 8 p.m. Mountain start. What are they doing with that?
I'm sure the people in Toronto love that.
Well, like who does that benefit?
On a weeknight? Nobody. Literally nobody. I have no idea why they're doing that. It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense at all.
If it's a Saturday, yeah, hell yeah. Everyone's getting wasted and everyone's having a good time. The Leafs are in town. You're back and forth chance. But yeah, during the weekday, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's like Pike saying on this, it's a TV thing. Who is benefit? Like maybe it's for the advertisers. I don't know, but it's an 8 p.m. game in Calgary, a 10 p.m. game in Toronto. Like, are we scheduling games around the fine folks of Anchorage now? Like, I just don't get the markets here. But whatever. I digress. And then I get it on Wednesday. It's against the Oilers. At least they're both Western teams.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's a national game. Wednesdays are national nights. It's Wednesday Night Hockey on Sportsnet. The Monday one, it's not even on Prime, Robert. Like it's just a Sportsnet game. It's a TSN4 production. Like that's
totally bizarre.
A little bit strange. Those probably two of the easier games ahead for the Calgary Flames because their month of March is an absolute gauntlet. But before we get into that, it is the San Jose Sharks and the LA Kings to wrap up the month of February after they come back from the Olympics. Of course, the Flames only with one Olympian this year. It's Marty Pospisil. And then March. Let's just pull out some selected opponents in the month of March for the Calgary Flames.
I got Tankathon open here. In terms of strength of schedule, the Flames had the fourth hardest strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. They play Colorado 3 times, Tampa once, Carolina once, Dallas twice, Detroit once, and Vegas once. Like that is an absolute gauntlet between now and the end of the season for this group.
Yeah, the opponents in March include a date in Colorado, a game against the Detroit Red Wings, who are at the near of the top of the standings, the Dallas Stars, the Carolina Hurricanes. These are all just games in March. Florida, you mentioned a bunch of these already, but it is an absolutely tricky schedule. I believe it's the second hardest remaining strength of schedule in the entire National Hockey League. The Calgary Flames possess. That's from our buddy Dom Luszczyszyn at The Athletic. So it's a real gauntlet coming up ahead. And the nice thing is it's going to give us a lot to talk about. It's going to give us a lot of prospect stuff to focus on, especially as the draft lottery approaches. That'll be probably at the end of April. Because Lord knows the Flames will have a tough time winning a lot of these games.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually think that they could probably get right down there with the Vancouver Canucks because of the strength of schedule, like we just mentioned, because Coleman and Kadri will, at least one of them will likely be moved, and there'll probably be one or two other players on top of that. Between losing all those players, and Rasmus Anderson is the big one. Rasmus Anderson was carrying this team for most of the season. So between losing all those players, tough schedule, and the goaltending, Dustin Wolf has not been the Dustin Wolf that we saw last season. I think things could get super ugly for this team, and I think they could get right down there for 32nd place with Vancouver.
Well, and Bobby, here's the thing, is between now and the trade deadline, okay? The trade deadline's over a month away, Bobby. There's a long time. There's lots of hockey left to play. No, there's 7 games for the Calgary Flames left until the trade deadline. 4 at home, 3 on the road. There is not a lot of time left. We are really getting up close. It is crunch time, and the road ahead is going to be, it's the equivalent of driving on the road, and maybe you find a nice little hotel and you stay there and you're having a good time. You eating the continental breakfast and whatnot, and you meet a nice lady, something like that. And you decide to just sort of stay there and see where the wind takes you. And you see the sights. Maybe you're out in the Appalachians and you get to climb a couple of mountains and you get to see some gorgeous views, spectacular sights. It's like you're on a break from everything. And then all of a sudden, one day, she decides to go to Reno, Nevada, and you've been sitting there for 3 weeks, and now you got to go back to work, and the break's over. The honeymoon is past, and you're back playing against the San Jose Sharks on February the 26th. That's the Calgary Flames of the next month.
I bet you the guys, like, they're all going to Cabo, they're all going to Hawaii. Like,
no, they're going
somewhere hot. Yeah. I don't know if they are, but or they're going to Reno. But when they come back, my God, that is going to be quite the comeback to reality for those guys. Just imagine, like, they're staying at these 5-star resorts, just getting wasted, having the time of their life, and then they got to come back and play the San Jose Sharks at the end of February. Oh boy,
that is the road ahead from
a
Platinum
depressed
Mitsubishi.
dressing room.
That's the road ahead from Platinum Mitsubishi. They're good folks. Masked Man 2929 saying, Mike, that's how I met you at Platinum a few months back. Did you? Maybe you did. Maybe you did. I will admit, I don't know many masked men. Maybe you go by a different name, but I appreciate it, masked man. And no, Gran ST 1995. I didn't get fired. Come on, you didn't have to go there, Gran. It was my decision. Want to focus more on hockey, do some different type of work. I don't know if you know this, but this is a lot of work. Like this is a healthy little dose of burning the midnight oil, lighting the candle at both ends. I mean, I don't know about you, Bobby. This is doing this show. I mean, I got to go through 2 of these 7-Eleven blueberry iced teas a day just to stay alert.
Dude, last week I hosted Warmies, and then I did my very first Afterburner, like hosting Afterburner, which is essentially what you do like twice a week, it feels like. And I was exhausted. I was like, how the hell does Mike do this like all the time? Because it was stressing me out. And I was like, I don't know how the hell Mike's doing this. I think he needs some more spare time on his hands. It's good to hear.
Masked Man, by the way, aka Todd. There we go. We appreciate it, Todd. Thanks for coming to the store and for sticking around on the Afterburner and the Warmies. I don't know. Maybe you watch the Warmies. Maybe you watch the Barn Burner too. But we appreciate it. It's a good show and it's a good store. So head on up there. Bobby, you wanted to talk about some prospects. There were a couple of guys who caught your attention. Zane Parekh obviously being one of them. But any other guys who are sort of tickling your fancy out there?
Yeah, well, let's start with Parekh because he gets recalled today. He's coming back to the Calgary Flames. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what do you think they should do with this guy? What is the plan for Zane Parekh between now and the end of the season? Like what is the ideal outcome in your eyes?
I think the outcome that we're going to see is Hunter Brzustevich going back to the farm.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see Zane sort of get in a lot of those reps. I think Zane, like here, I'll start with Hunter. I think Hunter Brzustevich is a player who maybe gets miscast a little bit, or at least the expectations put upon him by fans are a little misguided in some respects, because we saw him score 92 points in the OHL with Kitchener a couple of seasons ago. It's still really not his game, at least in my opinion. I think Hunter Brzustevich is a steady Eddie who doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. I think, if you're comparing like a Cale Makar or Devon Taves, I think he's a lot more of a Taves type. Yeah. And again, don't clip that. But I just see, like, I think he is an extremely solid, steady defenseman who will get assists, who will walk into the occasional shot every now and then. But the player who I've always compared to Brzustevich is TJ Brody. And that's where I see him having his value in the years to come. And so with Parekh coming in, I expect to see a lot more heavy power play deployment. And I don't disagree with what Fubar just commented. I think Zane needs to get a little bit more bulk on him, needs to learn how to take checks a little bit better, because it's not even just at the NHL level, it's the American League level as well that we're seeing him get still a lot of bodies on him. And it was something that Johnny Gaudreau was so good at eluding, at evading. And it was the thing that everybody always said is what happens when Johnny gets hit. And the thing is, he never really did. And what we're seeing with Parekh is a totally elite offensive player who does get hit a lot. Yeah. And he's got to learn to get through that.
Yeah. And it's going to take time for him to do that. And the way I see it kind of playing out is I agree with you. I think Hunter Brzustevich will play beyond the Olympic break in the American Hockey League, probably up until the trade deadline. What I'd love to see is Craig Conroy move out Joel Hanley, open up a spot on the left side, move Mackenzie Weegar from the right to the left. And then that way you can get Hunter Brzustevich back up and you can get Zane Parekh in the lineup at the same time and run with that between the trade deadline and the end of the season. I think that would be ideal. And then you're setting up Zane Parekh for success, whether you put him with Kevin Ball, or whether you put him with Yan Kuznetsov or Mackenzie Weegar. I think all three could be decent partners for the guy. So that's how I would like to see things go. And yeah, I'm with you. He is on the first power play unit. I would argue he could maybe even go out there for like all 2 minutes. Like, give him as much power play time as possible. That is where this guy shines. So, between power play time, getting him a decent partner on the left side, and just play the hell out of him. Don't put him in, take him out, put him in, take him out. I hate that. Just play the hell out of this kid. Let him learn, let him grow, let him develop. And I think that's what they should do between now and the end of the year.
I have no problem with what Fubar just said, which is maybe Zane needs a year in the AHL next year. I think it would do him a lot of good.
I got no problem with that either. I think it's one of the reasons why they're not going to trade Zach Whitecloud, because I think they're going to want him to take on like second pair NHL minutes on the right side alongside Weegar, and you could have Brustevich as your third pair guy, and then just have Parekh play in the American Hockey League for at least a couple months. And if he's dominating, you bring him back up. But yeah, I'm with Fubar too. I think the American Hockey League makes a lot of sense for Zane next year.
I think we are on the verge of seeing an incredibly good Calgary Wranglers team next year. I think perhaps the best team that we have seen since, the best Flames farm team that we've seen since the last year of the Stockton Heat. Because I think Cole Reshny is going to play with the Wranglers next year.
You think he's going to sign, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm really quite sure of it. That's mostly just a gut feel, but my gut feel is that Potter goes back for his junior year and Reshny signs. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Reshny in the A and Parekh in the A. And they already have a decent little crop of guys. They're going to get Andrew Basha next year again. They're going to get Jacob Battaglia next year. They're going to have Etienne Morin sort of playing a full-time role next year. They're going to get Axel Hertig in next year. And then they're also going to have, their goaltending situation a lot more sorted out with Sergeyev, who's been playing extremely well, and Owen Say, who will be back from injury by then. And then, a little bit more strength for Maidar Suniev as well. And so I think it's going to be maybe one of the better Wranglers teams we've ever seen. And so I think with Parekh, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the old days of the Toronto Marlies when they were coming up with Kyle Dubas, and that turned into a veritable NHL player factory in the early years of that Leafs ascendance, where you had guys who were playing down there and they just sort of churned out quality guys after a number of years. And so I think the Flames are going to have a very star-studded American League team next year, depending on how things shake out. But yeah, the expectation for me at least is that next year we're still going to be seeing Potter and Wittenbach in the NCAA. I know Ethan Wittenbach's a guy who you wanted to discuss as well, playing again tonight for Quinnipiac. Had another 2 assists yesterday against St. Lawrence, is now just 2 points back of the entire NCAA scoring lead.
Now, okay, with Ethan Wittenbach, like in the summer we did our Flames Nation top 20 prospect rankings, and I think a lot of the writers at the site had Wittenbach anywhere from 20 to 12. I want to say was his ranking. I'm curious to get your thoughts because you follow prospects closer than I do. Where does Wittenbach rank now in terms of Flames prospects? Is he in the top 5? Is he in the top 3? Because his ascension this year has been remarkable to see.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And the thing with Wittenbach that's kind of funny is, come last summer, I did not have him on my list.
Wow.
He was not in my top 20. And it wasn't even a matter of it being a slight on him per se.
He was ranked 20th.
He was ranked 20th by the consensus. He was right there on the cusp for me. Like I sort of had him in the same basket as a guy like Trevor Hoskin, who similar type of draft pick as far as where he was picked, and went on to be a very productive player at Niagara and now at Merrimack. But the difference between a Trevor Hoskin and an Ethan Wittenbach is that Hoskin was 20 when the Flames drafted him, and he was playing at lesser schools. He was playing at Niagara, and now he's playing at Merrimack, which is a good school, but still a step below Quinnipiac, which won a national championship a couple of years ago. And even with him playing at those schools, he was not second in the NCAA in scoring as an 18-year-old. And we'll have some stuff at Daily Faceoff soon, especially probably during the Olympics, as far as contextualizing that number of what he has done this season with 38 points already. Because that is, when a guy scores at a rate like this in the NCAA immediately after being drafted, we are accustomed to it being a top 10 pick.
Oh, totally.
Like we are accustomed to it being, oh yeah, Ryan Leonard. Oh yeah, he's got 38 points in 26 games in his first post-draft season. You look at Porter Martone, who plays at Michigan State, played against Gavin McKenna today. And Porter Martone has got 31 points in 23 games. And he was a top 10 pick last year. And everybody's sort of like, yeah, that's about what I expected. That's, Porter Martone's well over a point a game in college right after being drafted in the top 10. Yeah, that sounds about right. And here we are. Ethan Wittenbach and Porter Martone are the same age. In fact, Ethan Wittenbach is younger than Porter Martone by 4 months. And what we are seeing is at Quinnipiac, he's got 38 points in 27 games. And he gets points every single night. He has played 27 games and he has points in 24 of them. And it is staggering. So, yeah, I mean, as far as where I rank him on the list, it's been going up and up and up every week. The way that I see it now kind of is if we're talking about like Calder eligibility to a certain degree, I have 6 guys who are all in a group. And it's a group, I sort of said it earlier. You can have, 9 guys and maybe 3 of them will pan out as total first line guys. And right now I see the Flames as having 6 guys who to me are all in the same group. And it is Parekh, Reshny, Potter, Gridin, Brstevich, and Wittenbach. And he, to me, is part of that group with a bullet with the way that he's been playing this season. It is astonishing. And what also makes it very impressive is the fact that he is by far and away the number 1 scorer on his team. Like, I mean, Quinnipiac is a good team. Quinnipiac, I think the last coaches poll was number 6 in the country in the NCAA. And he's the only guy with more than 30 points on that team, and he's got 38. So it's quite impressive for any prospect to be that far ahead of the pack on his team, let alone an 18-year-old winger. That's unheard of, really.
It's spectacular. And like I've heard some comparisons to Johnny Gaudreau just in terms of, he's a smaller winger. He's playing in the NCAA. Gaudreau's freshman year, I know he was a very small player at the time, but he was a point per game guy, 44 points in 44 games. Wittenbach's producing like Johnny Gaudreau produced in a sophomore year. Like that's how impressive this rookie season is for him. Like it's unbelievable.
There's 2 major factors that make it different. And the first factor works in Wittenbach's favor, which is that the NCAA today is much stronger than it was when Johnny Gaudreau played in the NCAA. There are far more good teams and there are far more good players. The influx of talent from major junior is undeniable. The fact that works against it is that Wittenbach is still playing at Quinnipiac, which plays in a weaker conference. His competition is not always the strongest, as evidenced by the fact that he played against St. Lawrence yesterday. But it is still extremely impressive. And the comp that I like to make with Ethan Wittenbach over the last few weeks of watching him a lot more closely is not Gaudreau at all. I don't compare him to Johnny Gaudreau because I compare him to Clayton Keller. And they're a lot more similar in terms of their size. And they have the same skating stride to me, like almost identical. They skate both so well and so identically well, where they have this little hitch that makes it so easy for them to pivot. And I just find it makes Wittenbach so elusive. And he's got a much stronger shot than Johnny did, especially when he was that age. Johnny, his shot when he was coming into the league was not great.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is Wittenbach can really, really fire it. And so, it's obviously comparables are just that. They're comparables. I mean, I remember once upon a time comparing Matthias Emilio Pettersson to Johnny Gaudreau. So I don't want to go too crazy here. But it's orders of magnitude more impressive than what we've seen for any late round Flames pick since Dustin Wolf.
And the exciting thing for me is that, like a lot of people talk about, the Flames don't want to rebuild to last 6, 7, 8 years, whatever, however long it's going to be. I don't think it's going to last that long because like right now they've already developed like a really strong prospect pool. And I see Ethan Wittenbach and Matvei Gridin being pretty much slam dunk top 6 forwards. Matt Coronado looks like he could be a 25, 30 goal guy every year. Then you got Reshny and you got Potter and then you got Parekh and Brstevich on the back end. You got Wolf in net. This is like a solid little nucleus to build around. And over the next, say, 2 years here, if they can bottom out both years, add that elite talent of Stenberg and McKenna, Verhoff, and then, whoever else is going to be in 2027, add those guys to the already strong group of players, and the Flames are on their way. Like, I actually think the future is relatively exciting. I think it's going to take a while for them to become a contender again. I don't think it's going to take 8 years, but maybe 4 or 5. And I think they're on the right path right now. I think it's pretty exciting if you're a Flames fan.
We got to wrap this up, but there's one more point that I just made on the Warmies that I want to make again here, which is that the Flames, I think, are in a very nice position to blossom in a similar fashion to how the Anaheim Ducks did down the road, because they're kind of starting with the same two pieces, which is the Ducks. The two guys that they drafted way before they drafted all their current nucleus were Lucas Dostal and Troy Terry. And I see Dustin Wolf and Matt Coronado in those two players. Mm-hmm. And so you have those guys sort of from the start acting as the top of the pile to a certain degree. And if you really want to get crazy, you can make comparisons between Connor Zary and Trevor Zegras. I'm not here to yuck on anybody's yum. I don't necessarily abide by that. But the point with Zegras, who is no longer a part of the Ducks and didn't really give the Ducks much in a trade, is that the Ducks got to a point where they drafted high enough for long enough that they were able to whiff on a couple of picks. And it's even a little presumptuous to say that they whiffed on Zegras. He just wasn't really a fit for them. And it was sort of the same thing with Jamie Drysdale, and they were able to really capitalize on that. And then you can also say maybe with Pavel Mintyukov, it hasn't gone the way that they would expect or hope. But the Ducks are still in a very good position because even amidst all those guys, Beckett Seneca, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish, they ended up trading Jamie Drysdale for Cutter Gauthier, and they still have Mintyukov, they still have Olen Zellweger, they still have Roger McQueen, they still have a lot of guys. They have made so many picks, and they have made high picks. And the Flames are now in a spot where they can move forward here, maybe with a similar base to what we see in Anaheim. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to glean from the California teams, LA excluded. And I'm really looking forward to the next few months as we lead into the draft. Yasmin, do we have any super chats today?
We've got none.
Take that.
None.
None?
Yeah.
That's a first. Wow.
I know. I was trying to encourage them too, and they.
That to me is shocking. Bobby, do you have any super thoughts you want to put out there?
I've already put all of them out there. I'm done. We've been doing this for over an hour. It's over. Let's wrap this up.
Just a hockey fan 420 asking, why is Mike on every show? Yeah, okay, we'll just leave that alone. Before we wrap this up, we got to tell you about the Unicorn. It's a great spot. I just walked by the Unicorn on 4th the other day. I was walking down the street, going to my financial institution of choice, and there it was right to my right, and I was like, oh, it's like being home. It's the Unicorn. It's a great spot. They got the two locations, 1919 4th Street Southwest, 223 8th Avenue Southwest. 8th Avenue location. It's Calgary's super pub with 3 floors, 3 bars, 1 destination. They got buck hunter, they got pinball, they got darts. If you like to throw things at the wall or shoot things that are projected onto a wall, they got all sorts of stuff. Game day, $7 pints of Molson, located in the heart of Stephen Avenue, and of course, 2 locations as well. I mean, it's just a Calgary institution. It's a venerable spot in the Calgary core. So head on over to the Unicorn. I'm sure there will be lots to watch there during the Olympics, especially because you're not going to be watching our show. We're not going to have a show, and there's not going to be an Afterburner show. So just head on to the Unicorn. How does that sound to you, Bobby?
Sounds lovely. Love the Unicorn.
I like how Mr. Watts. This is funny to me. Mr. Watts. Mike is on every show but the main one. I'm pretty sure he's not on the main show because Warner doesn't like him.
You have made an appearance on the main show, and it did not go well.
What? What are you talking about?
if you can, go back and watch the Barn Burner where Mike makes his one and only appearance. It is something else.
I've appeared on the show. I hosted the show once. I hosted the show. That. Yeah, I hosted
Rhett,
the show with Rhett.
You guys are buddies.
Yeah, I hosted the show with Rhett. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that is Rhett in the comments saying that he doesn't like me, but Rhett's a good fellow. We were over at we were over having dinner. We had dinner. You were there.
I was sitting right across from you. Thanks for remembering.
Yeah, you really were at dinner. I was sitting right next to Rhett. He was he's my buddy. Isn't it because you asked Warner why he didn't give Bertuzzi number 44?
It was, dude. I asked him so many questions that night.
I think I asked him that at the dinner. Were you at the dinner?
Yeah, it was literally right across from you. Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I'm asking Mr.
That.
Watts. How do you know that? Did I ask him on the show too? Gosh,
dude, you and I were just like talking his ear off, like just asking so many.
Yeah,
questions.
I think
he probably thought it was like a Make-A-Wish kid sort of event that he was holding, because you and I were just all over him.
Yeah, you especially, you were all over them. Fubar suggesting that Boomer is scared of Mike. See, this is the thing. There's so many of us. There's me, there's you, there's Boomer, there's Cammy, there's Pinder, there's Rhett, there's Pike, there's the In the Dome fellas, whatever their names are, and there's all this psychoanalysis that occurs, with every different permutation on the show. Oh, Mike and Cammy. Cammy just wants to punch Mike in the face. Oh, Mike thinks Pike is long-winded and boring. Oh, Robert and Boomer, they don't get it's not that deep. It's not that deep. We're all pretty close, I think. I like to think so. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Robert?
We're a tight-knit group, I would say.
I think so.
We did some good bonding over the Christmas holidays when we had the Holiday Spirit show, and then we had that night out at Bridget Bar. Like we're coming together here as a group. We like working with each other.
That's right. You know what? I need to have a night out at the Unicorn. I am probably gonna go, I think, immediately after this show is done. I think I am, because I don't live that far away. I can just go walk down the street. I can just grab a little drink. Go down, maybe play some Buck Hunter, what have you.
Get your gyoza, watch the Canucks and Leafs.
By the way, I don't have a soundboard. But we do have a super chat, courtesy of RB XJ570 279 to the Houstoners of Calgary. Trade Weegar, rebiggle.
I think we should.
Need I say more?
I think we should leave it there.
Need I say more? Mike Gould, Robert Munnich. Thank you to everybody in the chat, y'all lovely folks who we really do appreciate to the greatest extent. And thank you so much to our producer Yasmin, who does yeoman's work, having to watch. Here's the thing: you might not have to watch every show. You might skip the occasional show. She watches. She has to sit here with us for 70 minutes and keep up with us. And it's not hard to keep up with us, but it is easy to maybe lose your focus. So hats off to you, Yasmin, and thank you as always to our buddy Robert Munnich. Great show again, Bobby. Well done.
That was fun.
Thanks to the folks at Bet365, the Afterburner Super Chat, Derek Newman Group, the Platinum Mitsubishi, and the Unicorn. We have one more thing we got to do, Bobby. We're just losing the plot altogether. We got to talk about some Bet365 bets. Let's put them up on the screen, Yaz. I think we got the rest of our slate for tonight in the NHL. We got some favorites. The Oilers favored over Minnesota, Vegas over Seattle, and Utah just narrowly favored over Dallas. That's surprising to me.
Well, Utah's been on fire, and they're playing great at home, so that actually should be a pretty decent game.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's not a bad slate in the NHL. 14 games tonight. There's lots of hockey, and there's NCAA stuff as well. So good stuff. And there you go. The good folks over at Bet365. It is truly never ordinary. Never, ever ordinary at Bet365. I think we've gone on long enough. One more time. Thank you to Bobby. Thank you to Yasmin. Thank you to everybody in the chat. My name is Mike Gould, and the Calgary Flames, they have ended their 5-game losing streak, and they're now on a 1-game winning streak. Tune in on Monday to see how that all transpires when the Flames return to the Saddledome Ice to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. See you, folks. This has been the Afterburner.